shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. No, come find me. No, come find me. Listen to the words. Come find me. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off.
I ain't a hard guy to find. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off.
Mm-hmm. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Live from, what do we call this? DeAndre Hopkins' new burial grounds?
Yeah.
Right across the street from Nissan Stadium here in Nashville. We are live from SEC Media Days. Had Media Day Part 1 here today. And I got to be honest with you. You guys know I don't mind telling you when I'm wrong. I'm not wrong often, but when I am wrong, I like to come here and tell you. Like, honestly, I missed on that one. Whether it be a football player or a take or an opinion, take an opinion, same thing. Whatever it is, right? If I am wrong, I have a tendency to tell you. I was wrong today thinking that downstairs this lobby was going to be good for today's show. Flat wrong. Flat wrong. I was also flat wrong when I was one of those people that said, oh, man, Brian Kelly, Notre Dame coach, you know, whatever. Y'all 10-2. It's all good. Have an 11-1 season every once in a while. You get your doors blown off by Bama as a national title contending football program, all that good stuff. I was a Brian Kelly, not necessarily denier, but I certainly wasn't a Brian Kelly truther. And it kind of goes against what I normally do. Normally, I'm a vibes guy. I gotta see it. I gotta feel it. I gotta go out and like experience the human being before I make some type of serious judgment. But just based off how I saw him coach the game of football on television, I was out on Brian Kelly. And then I get out here this week, and I get out here today, and obviously he's the first one to speak today. And, man, if that ain't a wholesome dude, a self-alert dude, a dude that is like 100% genuine. And I'll tell you a story. I was watching him today in the smaller press room. So here in Nashville at the Grand Hyatt, there's a big room and there's a small room. There's a main room and there's a smaller room. And the smaller rooms where the coaches kind of start out first, it's just a handful of media folks. And they were asking Brian Kelly about – some things don't change. They're asking Brian Kelly about the new schedule change and, like, you know, going to no divisions and whatnot. And he basically said, like, I'm new to this. You know, I just got here to the SEC. I'm new to this. And, you know, I love the SEC because of its competitiveness, because of its balance. And honestly, I prefer the as many games as possible. If we could play 12 SEC games, I would do that. And he kind of stopped. And he goes, now, wait, I don't want y'all to run with the headline saying Brian Kelly wants all 12 SEC teams in one slate, because that's not what I'm saying. But kind of. We just like it, right? And just the ability to stop and know, like, how his words were being thrown at him as he was being genuine and how they were coming out of his mouth. It was a very self-alert and self-aware human being. And that's what coaching is. I felt like of all three of the football coaches that spoke today, between Brian Kelly, Jimbo Fisher, and Eli Drinkwitz, all of which we'll talk about tonight, I felt like Brian was the most true to what he was saying. Like, he wasn't just performing. He was being 100% genuine. And I think that's what it is to be a football coach. Not only that, he was saying a lot with few amount of words. I've been teasing here on this channel for a while now, bringing guys on and bringing some staples in here. And we've also been teasing some changes with the show. Obviously, this week's going to look very, very different. We're here in Nashville. But changes with the home studio and what the home field advantage is going to look like. And I got some new cronies with me, got some new homies with me. And I want to introduce them to you today. It's my boy, Dr. J. Will. You guys might know him on Twitter for all of his fine stats. And I got my boy Kirby here as well. First name left to be unknown. We're just going to leave it at Kirby. Is that fine with you?
Works for me.
I'm definitely not calling you by your legal name. How are we doing today, boys?
Doing fantastic. I'm doing good, man. What about
you excited to be here in Nashville?
So pumped.
Even though you don't have credentials?
We're just vibing. Hey,
You
we're
didn't
just
have to
vibing
tell
in the
anyone
hotel.
that.
No, I don't mind telling. Hey, full transparency, right? The boys got shorted a credential. They only gave the SI crew one credential today, or this week. Two, my boy Fisher behind the sticks is going to get one for us from the South Carolina end. But yeah, only one credential for the Dogs Daily crew today or this week here in Nashville. But I thought it would be valuable to bring you guys onto the not only the show but onto the trip in general and just kind of get some vibes going. What'd you guys think of Brian Kelly today? We'll start with you, Jonathan.
You know, even coming into today, I don't know that I was a full believer in Brian Kelly. Like last year, I was kind of like, yeah, you made it to the SEC championship game. You actually kind of made it somewhat of a game against Georgia in the SEC championship game. But Alabama wasn't hitting on all cylinders, and there really wasn't another team in the West that was challenging them. So I was like, okay, first year in, maybe you peak too early.
Like a bad 9-4 football team
Yeah.
to make an SEC West title.
Exactly. But then he came in today, and he was very businesslike, and he spoke like someone that was putting his program in the right spot and had his team on the right trajectory. And I told him after his press conference, I was like, I'm a believer in Brian Kelly now. Like, that just sold me for the 2023 season and moving forward for right now. I'm a believer in Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers.
He definitely won the day, or as far as media goes for appearances, he definitely won by that. He was most spoken. He spoke the best there. I don't know if I'm bought in on him just yet, but he definitely is the most self-aware out of those three people. And I think that's going to go a long way for him.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about, obviously, Drinkwitz and all the rest of the guys. But to go back to Kelly, there were three coaches that obviously spoke today. We thought one we're going to get to in a second that, let's just say, didn't have very much of a preparation or a plan. You know what I mean? Like, wasn't out here prepared today at all. Was just kind of winging it, if you will. But Kelly felt like he had the biggest balance between, I came to talk about these points today, and when provoked with general questions, was just genuine. And I think, again, how you relate to a room full of 150 people, well, that's kind of your job. You know what I mean? Like, there might be a different age group of 150 people, but you're still trying to relate to the 150 people in the room. And I thought Kelly did a great job of doing that. Let's talk a little bit about it, because we all three weren't Brian Kelly believers before we came here and kind of felt, or at least me, get to feel his vibe, but you guys really watch him in depth and listen to him today. I have a theory that he's just an angry and ugly coach on the sideline on television, and maybe that's why I had, maybe not disdain's the wrong word, but maybe wasn't catching the Brian Kelly vibes.
I think it's a combination of that and bad moments. Like, you had the whole where maybe our players need to get executed. He's got the dancing with the recruit
Very
thing.
player blaming last year, early on.
The fake accent thing's another thing. So I think he got off on a really bad start. And on top of that, when you're the Notre Dame coach, you're kind of disliked anyways, because no one really outside of Notre Dame loves that program.
Yeah.
So I think that his moments were bad, but the fact that he kind of won the West last year really helped. And I think today he kind of cemented himself as someone who knows what he's doing as an SEC coach and is comfortable in doing that now.
And I think it's also, just like you said, being at Notre Dame, you know, no one really respected Notre Dame.
Don't nobody like the Golden Dome.
No, because it seemed like they were hyped up every single year, and then they would go out in the regular season, and really their season would turn into nothing like the national media was building them up to be. And so then when he came to LSU and he had somewhat of some national success, it was kind of like nobody really knew what to do. Nobody really knew what to thought about Brian Kelly, but now he's coming here going into year two, and he's kind of got everybody to buy in, you know, not just his roster, not just his staff, but he's gotten everybody, including the media, the fans, just the college football world in general.
Yeah, I mean, LSU, most people are picking LSU to win the West now, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll find out this week. Obviously, they'll poll the media towards the end of the week. But I'm just looking at the schedule here. They obviously start in Orlando against Florida State. So that'll be a pseudo home game for the Seminoles, you would imagine. Even though a neutral site game like that, the Tigers tend to travel really, really well. So
LSU travels well.
Yeah, perhaps they sell that thing out. Grambling State at home, the classic 6:30 night game, at Tiger Stadium for no apparent reason, getting a night game in college football there. Then they go on the road to Mississippi State, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Missouri, Auburn, Army, Alabama, Florida, Georgia State, and A&M. It's a tough schedule in the sense that they play everybody, but there's a lot of breathing room in between their big boys. You know what I mean? Like they play Army before they play Alabama. They play Georgia State before they play A&M. You know, it's a lot of, hey, yeah, you got Arkansas and Ole Miss back-to-back, but after that you get Mizzou. So it's a lot of touch and go on that LSU schedule, and it's something that, you know, for a football team that improved. I mean, full disclosure, I walked right up to Brian Kelly today and was like, hey, dude, you don't know me from nobody. Yeah, I'm just some guy. I didn't even introduce myself. I just told him, like, you did a hell of a job coaching football last year, period. Like, if you watched them against Florida State, they were not a football team that looked like they were going to contend for an SEC title. I mean, that's what they did. And let alone having, 3 freshmen All-American on that roster, 4 actually. The tight end, Jason Taylor's son, Mason, the 2 tackles, and Harold Perkins. So to go out and have 4 guys out of your 22 play a major role for you and be true freshmen, I thought you did a hell of a job last year from a coaching perspective. And I know we spent 15 minutes telling you how great Brian Kelly is, but I didn't expect it driving up here today.
Not at all.
It definitely took me by surprise.
Yeah. Let's take a quick moment now to tell you guys, if you're watching, hit that thumbs up button, take a like, a subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit that thumbs up button. We're gonna be here live in Nashville the next couple of days, and then we'll be back in studio at home on Thursday night. I believe we're gonna try to get back for that one. So appreciate you guys for being here today. Let's talk a little bit about y'all want to do Drink or Jimbo first.
I mean, there's not a whole lot to get into it.
There's not a lot to get into the drink, so we'll save him for last. We got a pretty substantial audience here. I want to talk about Jimbo Fisher. Look, he is the intro for a reason. I've never, ever been a Jimbo guy. I'm not at the Florida State days. Didn't believe it. Couldn't believe they gave him $100 million to come to Texas A&M. Damn sure couldn't believe they re-upped the contract midway through. But always been a good quote, always been a good presser, always been a decent speaker in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, in front of a body of people. I don't think that's what today was at all. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought today was nothing but this right here. I wrote these down. Okay. I went back and re-listened to it today. First of all, we tally strike these after we got home today. 27, we settled on 27 different cliches in the first 12 minutes. Let me read you some of them. Chip on the shoulder, create the habits, strength is in the unity, fight, scratching, and clawing, busting tails, no secret to the madness, no added pressure. A team has a 1-year life expectancy. That's brilliant. Most games are lost, not won. Understanding the big picture, attention to detail, control what you can control. You don't practice until you get it right. You practice until you can't get it wrong. I shit you not. It was nothing but 20 minutes of this. This is my favorite. The secret is there is no secret. I didn't get much of a feeling of a culture of Texas A&M today. In fact, when he was asked or when he was speaking of his culture, he said, you know how I know I got great recruiting, or you know how I know I got great culture? Because we got great recruiting. Because you can't recruit unless your players love where they're playing. What do you guys think of Jimbo Fisher today?
I think this seemed like a big moment to me because you brought in this #1 recruiting class and all the hype was around your program, and then you go and lay an egg, you win 5 games, you lose to App State, and you have a blunder of a season. So this seems like a perfect opportunity for Jimbo Fisher to come back in.
Hey, steer some narrative, baby.
Absolutely. Come into the SEC Media Days, kind of rewrite the ship and say, this is what we're doing now. We know what happened last season, but that's not what we're focusing on today. But instead, he just came in here with like this F you attitude. Like, I don't want to be here, and I want everybody in this room to know that I don't want to be talking to anybody.
That's the other thing we counted. We counted 6 interruptions. He was asked 16 questions. 6 of the 16 questions, he stopped the reporter from talking to interrupt and just jump in on it. Very agitated. Did not have the patience to be here. You could see it in his face. I don't teach public relations. But he is a public relations nightmare. He has been since he started getting in front of a camera in the last couple of years. I mean, basically since the Saban stuff started, as soon as he gets in front of a microphone, he just goes off the rails and very, very unprepared at all. Was the one coach today that clearly had no mission. We'll talk about Eli in a second. Eli Drinkwitz's plan today was to do nothing, and he did exactly that. We'll talk about that in a second, but Kelly at least had a plan of explaining what his program was, where they were at. Jaden Daniels is doing great. Love Garrett Nussmeier. We didn't hear a single, very much at all from Jimbo about any type of information about his team unless provoked. And then when provoked, particularly about his offensive coordinator, he wanted to give us nothing. We're not getting into any schematics. We're not going to answer who's calling plays. We're not going to do none of that. What are we doing here today?
He was obviously very uncomfortable this entire time. And I think that's where a lot of the snapping and the
you noticed a lot of the awkward laughter.
Like a lot of the things he would say, he would awkwardly laugh. Or if he snapped at a reporter, like he would give that nervous laugh that a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I think he kind of knows his back's against the wall this year. Maybe not just because of the way his contract is structured. He doesn't get fired this year, but I think his seat gets very warm. So I think he's uncomfortable there. But it's also he's someone who's so proud of who he is that I think it comes to a fault. Like admitting, and we'll kind of allude to Eli Drinkwitz anyways. Eli Drinkwitz was asked, who's calling plays this year, and Eli pretty much said, "Yeah, last year the offense wasn't very good, so we went and hired an offensive coordinator." Jimbo wouldn't do that. He went out and hired Petrino, but he still hasn't said, oh yeah, this is who's going to be calling plays.
That was the wildest thing today when he was asked about Petrino. It's like, dude, Bobby Petrino is a football coach that when you hire him, when you go out and tell the world that you are about to hire Bobby Petrino, guess what comes upon your doorsteps? A bunch of shit, a bunch of trash, a bunch of, hey, look at this man in a neck brace. Hey, look at all this stuff he did. Hey, he ran out on the Falcons. You go out on a limb to hire an offensive mind. I mean, say what you want about Bobby Petrino. Dude can coach some damn offense. Like, he puts up points wherever he goes. So you go out on a limb. You put yourself out there to do this. You pay him what it requires to get him there. And then you don't want to extend the benefit of the doubt to give him the ability to call your plays. It just, or at least tell people he's going to do it. Like, you can undermine him like behind closed doors. I mean, it's just, I don't really get it. You're right. There was a difference between because he and Eli are in the same boat. Both of them are offensive-minded coaches. Their offense has absolutely underperformed the last several years, and it's time for a change. Mm-hmm. And when you become a head coach, there are certain things that you can't oversee all the time. I think Brent Venables learned this at Oklahoma. That you start coaching all of it, and you start slacking on some of the stuff that made you great as a defensive coordinator. But man, you got to have the humility to at least admit where you're, kind of lacking and kind of having flaws. And was none of that today.
Yeah, even last year when the offense was stinking, he was kind of, what's going on? And he was, it's execution. It's not play calls. It's not scheme. It's not anything like this. It's execution. We're just not doing it. The plays are fine. And that's kind of what he was today. It didn't seem like there was anything wrong except we got to execute this year. He kept harping on execution. And obviously he wasn't going to get into his schematics about it, but.
Dude, the contract's absurd. I mean, the contract's absolutely absurd. The contract is basically $10 million every single year for the next 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah.
So, they owe him $58 million, I believe it is, after the 2025 season. So I don't know what's better, the original writing of the contract, his agent negotiating an extension, or the buyout in the fucking thing. It's insane. That agent, I don't know who it is, probably Jimmy Sexton, I would imagine. Probably Jimmy Sexton, and that dude did a bang-up job.
Someone who needs a raise.
Say what?
Someone who needs a raise.
No doubt. Someone who needs a raise right there. Let's talk a little bit about Drink. I thought, if you've heard me on this channel, and all of you guys have, by the way, hit that like button, leave a comment, all that good stuff. If you've heard us on this channel, I've always alluded to how Eli Drinkwitz is a tremendous quote. I think when he gets on a camera and when he gets a microphone and he gets to share his message, he is a brilliant public speaker. I think he is entertaining. I think he's fun to watch. I also think he got LASIK this offseason because he definitely got rid of his glasses, beside the point. I always thought he was a great speaker. I always thought he left me with a quote. I always thought I could run with something when he got done talking. And it was very clear from the moment he stepped up on the stage today, he was leaving without you having a damn thing. He didn't want nobody saying a single word about the Missouri Tigers today or what Eli Drinkwitz said on that podium, and he left with exactly that. So at least I knew walking in, hey, Brian Kelly going to tell us about his team, how they're progressing in year 2. That was clearly his message, right? Had a message. Eli Drinkwitz, clear message. I'm just here. I'm here because I have to be here. The last 2 years, I think I've said too much. I think I've been the talk of the SEC Media Day for the wrong reason. They weren't talking about my players. They were talking about me. This year, not going to say a word. We're just going to come out. And he started for 20 minutes. All he did was talk about his roster. He gave his damn 2 deep. He went through his 2 deep on SEC Media Days, gave nothing. And at the end of giving his 2 deep, basically said, well, I hope there's no more time for questions because I came here to give you nothing. And so when I see a coach come out with, I don't know, a plan and then execute said plan, you at least get a passing grade for me, right?
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing, that's the difference between what Jimbo did today and what Eli did today. Because I think both had the same mindset of like, I'm just here. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to talk to the people and do all that good stuff. but I don't necessarily want to be here. But Eli at least was upfront with everybody, and he at least talked about his roster and gave you some type of insight into what was going on over at Missouri, and then told you, like, I hope there's no more time because I don't want to answer any of your questions. Whereas Jimbo just kind of was like beating around the bush a little bit, and I don't know. I just feel like that was the difference.
The whole time.
Cliche the whole time, and I think that was the difference between what kind of sold me on what Eli did today versus what Jimbo
And by the
did
way,
today.
I've been in enough rooms. I think that's the difference in a quality leader of men and a bad leader of men. Because when I'm in a room, particularly with 18 and 25-year-olds, right, that age range of young men like you guys, whose attention span is like a freaking gnat, if I am not saying meaningful information in the time allotted, then we lost. We were inefficient. We did not get things done today. And if you've ever been on a football team and you've had one of these football coaches that just goes and goes and goes and drones on and on and on, and he don't never say nothing, well, that's what we watched today from an SEC football coach. And I have a feeling that might be what the football team gets in the locker room sometimes too, because if you're not bringing your best when the whole college football world has got their eyes on you and hearing your message about your program, then when are you ever going to turn it on, dude? Like when Brian Kelly was on vacation for the last week and a half, clearly had been thinking about what the hell he was going to come here and talk about. So yeah, man, like just, I know for a fact those types of football coaches demand excellence day in. All of his cliches were all about what? The process is the process. Doing it every single day. Doing the right thing every day. Chip on the shoulder. Create the habits. All right. So if you're creating the habits, Coach Fisher, then the habit should be I'm going to show up prepared, and I'm not going to give 27 different cliches in a 15-minute time span. Should we bagged on Jimbo enough? Did we bag on Jimbo enough?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we did. All right. That's enough on the Jimbo bagging. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up. Make sure you're hitting that like, subscribe. Tomorrow, King Kirby comes to the podium with our mans from Mississippi State. And who else we got tomorrow?
Shoot. I had it in my mind. I can't remember. I had Mississippi State, Georgia, and I can't remember the third team.
We'll figure it out for you.
I'll look it up right now.
Look it up for me. That's what we have producers for. Anyways, got a loaded day tomorrow. And obviously, in years past, Kirby comes with some kind of mantra, right? I can't quite remember what it was in 2021, but in 2022, it was "We will not be hunted." Oh, in 2021, it was the quote from the war general about complacency, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Anyways, always has a mantra, always has something. Last year's was "We will not be hunted." So I proposed the question to the gentleman today. What do you think Kirby's mantra? What do you think his message to his football team is going to be this year following a second national title? So we'll start with you guys, Kirby. What do you think it's going to be tomorrow?
So I don't have the exact quote of what it's going to be or if it's going to rhyme or if it's going to sound anything like that. But on G-Day, I interviewed a couple of players after the game and kind of asked them, what are you doing to avoid complacency? And the phrase they always gave me was, we're still eating off the floor.
Yeah.
So I think Kirby's going to get something about that where it's no matter what kind of success you have, you still have to act like you're eating off the floor, the whole rinse do thing. Because at this point, they've reached the mountaintop. They've had all the pressure. So what's left other than kind of fight off complacency?
Yeah, the eat off the floor thing. I personally, I like it. I think it's a dope saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no matter how big you get in life, like we should definitely be willing to do the things that we were doing when we were the lesser of these. What do you think, Dr. J. Will?
I'm going with your past successes are your greatest obstacles.
Ooh.
Yeah. Dug deep for
Okay.
that one.
You come up with that?
A little bit, yeah.
Right.
But I
don't think there's any inspirational quotes that can be new. By
exactly.
the way.
That's what I was going to say.
They're all
But
used.
I think it's exactly what
Yeah.
Kirby was alluding to, and the fact that, every person on that roster at this point has a ring. Aside from the incoming freshmen, every single player on that roster has a ring. So they've been there, done that. You at least had that going into 2022, like some new folks that were still chasing after that ring and at least going to do something that hadn't been done since Alabama. You're still chasing after that. Whereas this year, it's like, all right, we've won back-to-back now. You got to still stay on the mountaintop, but now you're avoiding your great successes in the past, and you're still having to focus on what's coming in the future.
Great success. I'm going to go with consistency is the enemy to complacency. That's what I'm going to go with. Because they've been fighting off complacency. That's what he's all about. Like, don't get too comfortable. You know what I mean? Just don't get too comfortable. Shots out the future. Just don't do it. Don't get too comfortable. Don't be complacent. Complacency is bad. It's the devil. So how do you beat complacency? You are consistently striving for greatness, whatever all that other stuff is. How many coaching cliches do we get tomorrow from Kirby?
Oh, geez.
It's going to be upwards of 15.
You think 15?
I mean, as much as we give Jimbo shit for it, Kirby also.
Kirby is notorious for one.
Kirby does
Absolutely.
like cliches.
But Kirby will he'll come prepared tomorrow. There's no doubt.
Kirby at least
have
will
a-
give you that one piece of wisdom. That's what you're focused on.
He'll
You don't
make you say,
yeah,
a couple
and you'll
times.
forget about all the coach speak because you're just focused on that one thing. Like last year, it was about we're not going to be hunting. That's all anybody talked about. It wasn't all the other stuff that he said.
I can't wait for Kirby to make you say tomorrow, because he definitely does. Every
Talk to
year
me.
he'll say something about that was good for the soul right there. That was feeding right there. We got Cedric Van Pran, we have Kamari Lassiter, and we have Brock Bowers tomorrow. First of all, you guys go to school with this guy. Y'all see him around. How much is Brock Bowers dreading tomorrow?
A lot, every bit of it.
I don't know
Every
if
bit
he's.
of it.
I don't know if he's dreading it as much as he's just gonna do his thing. I don't think he's.
No, I think he's absolutely hating it.
Yeah,
I don't think he wants to be here tomorrow.
I don't think so either.
Like, I live for talking in front of a camera. I want to be in front of a camera. I want to talk. I want to be asked questions. I want to do this. Cedric Van Pran, natural speaker. Natural speaker. I've never heard Kamari Lassiter talk in an extended format like this. I've interviewed him, but not watched him stand in front of 25 cameras. So that'll be interesting tomorrow. But I guarantee you right now, the Mackey Award winner does not want to be here tomorrow.
No.
And I shouldn't speak for him, but I just know his personality. He's an introvert by nature. And by the way, has absolutely no idea how good he is. None. Like, has absolutely no idea how good he is at football. Was it you that were telling me the story about that Tate Ratledge was sharing on his podcast?
Yeah, he was calling him Mr. Mackey all the time after winning the Mackey Award, and Brock came up to me and was like, "Hey, man, cut that out. I don't like that. Don't call me Mr. Mackey. I don't
Just
like
call
it."
me Brock.
Yeah, I'm Brock. That's it.
I'm Brock. What else did we have? We had some other stuff that went. Oh, so I don't know if y'all heard. But Georgia been out here getting some speeding tickets. Okay, been out here getting some speeding tickets. There's been some reporting done from some 3-lettered Chronicle thing. All right, and I'm imagining that Kirby Smart is going to get asked a handful of questions tomorrow about his culture and about speeding. So we have set the over-under here on the channel. They get about 15 to 16 questions, depending upon how much the coach talks before the questions are open, which also might be a good over-under. The over-under on Kirby's opening speech tomorrow, because the Sun Gun's liable to go 25 minutes just to make sure no one asks him too many questions, because why the hell not? But the over-under right now, set on questions revolving around Kirby Smart and Georgia's culture, is set at 4.5. Okay, I have it set at 4.5. Chat, I want your answers on this as well. How many times is Kirby Smart asked about his culture tomorrow?
You're going low.
It's under.
I'm going over.
Okay, give me the under first. I want to hear this take.
All right, so you said what? 15 to 16 questions.
15
at
to
best.
16 questions average.
So you're telling me a third of the questions are going to, because it's 5 over 4.5 is 5.
Yeah.
A third of the questions are going to be revolving speeding. If you've ever sat in a media room with Kirby Smart,
super testy.
he has a very intimidating presence.
Yeah.
And if you ask him questions that one he doesn't like or thinks are stupid, he'll let you know that. So
Yeah.
I think you'll get to 1 or 2 questions, because there are going to be a lot of people that aren't familiar with Kirby there,
Yeah.
kind of asking, feeling it out. They'll get there and they'll ask that, and he'll shut it down immediately. And then I think by the time second or third time it goes around, people are gonna be like, all right, we need to stop asking these.
So,
stupid
yeah,
questions.
so there's an easy way that this goes way under. I mean, like one, like
Mhm.
just it. If he is given a statement to give, like if he is asked about it and he says, our lawyers have directed us to no comment. And if it's that, and then maybe he gets asked again and he will no comment again. That's the only way I can see he's going drastically under.
My question is what if he just came out in his opening speech and at the end and he said, and by the way, anything regarding speeding tickets and the culture of our program, I'm going to simply tell you no comment and just go ahead and get it out of the way.
I
Exactly, right?
I don't know if he would. I don't know.
I don't know
do that.
either, but
is that a bad look?
I don't know.
Like I'm avoiding all topics
Yeah,
of questions
you're right.
around my program.
Maybe that would be a little bit.
I don't think he does that. I think he's never been someone like Jimbo. To me, seems like he would dodge something like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't talk about it. By the way, he almost encrypted himself multiple times today. We didn't talk about that.
Bless him.
Bless him.
We could have done a whole Jimbo episode.
Yeah, we could have
honestly.
done a whole Jimbo episode. Go watch it. Mans was a whole scene. But no, I don't like Kirby's never one to like dodge these types of things, I don't think. But you are right. Like, if he does not want to talk about it tomorrow, he will make it clear from Jump Street. Like, this is how I'm answering that question. And you can feel free to ask it again, but I'm gonna be just as direct.
Yeah.
I'm telling y'all, go under.
Go under, big time. Any other notes from today? Any other things that we noticed? Jimbo was talking about fullbacks today. Anybody notice
Yeah.
that?
I noticed it back when
Jimbo's
we
talking
were
about
watching.
having fullbacks.
Unless the fullbacks are going to motion, it's not going to matter. Jimbo's problem has always been there's been no window dressing, no eye candy for his offense.
Yeah.
It's always been you line up, this is what the offense is, and that's a play.
Big noon kickoff vibes for me from the offense.
Yeah, big dude.
Yeah,
kickoff.
just like I'd rather do a lot of things than watch Texas A&M offense. Yeah,
Again, we could have done a whole
Drippy out
Jimbo
here.
episode.
Get drippy out here.
By the
Man.
way, it's Vanderbilt and Auburn also tomorrow.
It's Vanderbilt. So Clark Lee and Hugh Freeze
Yeah.
tomorrow. Shouts out Clark Lee. Got a contract extension today. Coaches for a private school here in Nashville. So no details as far as how much money he got out of the deal. But Vanderbilt on the rise.
go Doors.
They could be 500 this year.
They were 5-7 last year, so they certainly could be 500 this year. But the one thing I worry about for teams like Vanderbilt is that we know Texas and Oklahoma bump everyone down 2 spots that isn't named Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Tennessee.
Tennessee's in there
Tennessee?
right now.
Tennessee's in there, yeah.
Everyone else gets bumped down 2 spots,
Absolutely.
right? Oklahoma, Texas A&M Texas perennially better than Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Perennially better than Texas A&M.
Yeah.
On a 20-year average.
Yeah.
20-year average, absolutely.
Perennially better than Kentucky.
Yeah.
Perennially better than Missouri.
Absolutely.
So like all of these programs that are notorious for 5-7, 7-5 football seasons, 3-7, or 3-9. Now, like you can't just guarantee that y'all are gonna fight over being average. The bottom of the barrel now is fighting over the bottom of the barrel, essentially, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think also Vanderbilt's just kind of in a tough situation because they're the second best team in the state. Just kind of like how Georgia Tech is like the second best team in the state of Georgia. But
Very Georgia Techy.
yeah, but at least for Georgia Tech, Georgia has a plethora of elite athletes all over the state. So they can get some of those kids that aren't exactly a Georgia offer, but still really good athletes will be really good at Georgia Tech. Whereas I don't know if they don't have that much access to Tennessee kids. So if they could maybe tap in somewhere else or figure something else out.
I do want to say this, and this is not biased at all. I certainly don't want this to happen for me. So if anyone's listening, Vanderbilt's first school that I know of that made the interesting decision to hire a guy by the name of Barton Simmons to be their director of player personnel and their director of recruiting and director of scouting and player evaluation. If you don't know who Barton Simmons is, Barton Simmons used to be the director of scouting for 24/7 Sports. And now, makes cool, Chris, couple hundred G's, evaluating high school football players and deciding who should play at Vanderbilt and who they should recruit. I don't know of any directors of scouting or directors of recruiting that really, really know football really, really well and can develop relationships pretty well. But, there might be someone like that still out there. And maybe he designed himself and made himself into a film guy. I'm just saying. So that's dope that the Vanderbilt Commodores are doing that, and that they're having really, really a tremendous amount of success on the recruiting trail. By the way, if you haven't noticed, Clark Lee's recruiting at a higher rate at Vanderbilt than probably anybody in the history of the school, not named Derek Mason, for like 6 months. Right?
Yeah.
Even James Franklin?
Even James Franklin. James Franklin was a one-year wonder.
Yeah.
Won 9 games with our boy Jordan Rogers, who, by the way, Jordan Rogers, if you're watching the show, sir, you're gorgeous. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind saying it. And I know you work hard at it. That man works hard at being beautiful. And you know what? Achieved. Y'all didn't get a whiff of Jordan Rogers today. I got a visual.
Oh, you were
whiff.
up there smelling?
Bro, no. You ever look at somebody and you know you can smell them? That's how Mans was. I could look at Jordan Rodgers and know he smells beautiful. Like, he makes Aaron Murray look ugly.
Wow.
Yes.
Damn.
Aaron, friend of the show, ain't got shit on Jordan Rodgers. I'm telling you right now. Y'all got anything else?
I have nothing out
No,
of
I'm
that segment.
good.
No.
Hey, how was your first debut?
Solid.
I mean, they'll decide.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. Okay, understand something. I didn't even know what my sign off was. I had one.
Damn.
Hold on, it'll come to me.
You want to talk about Jimbo some more?
No jokes, clown acts, pisses me off. We'll see you later. Hey, we'll see you tomorrow. Deadass. See you. Love you. Appreciate you.